Valve just got hit where it hurts. A massive federal class action lawsuit filed today in Washington claims the Steam empire isn't just a gaming platform, it's an illegal multi-billion-dollar gambling ring. And this time, the lawyers brought receipts. On March 9th, 2026, two plaintiffs, Alexander Flotto and Jackson Mayer, filed a massive complaint in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington. They are alleging that Valve has built a deliberate, carefully engineered revenue model designed to mimic the psychological hooks of a casino. This video breaks down the filing, the smoking gun evidence cited by the lawyers, and how this federal case is different from the New York Attorney General's lawsuit filed just weeks ago. The complaint begins by establishing Valve's dominance, noting that as of January 2026, Steam commands a 74% market share for PC game distribution, with 132 million monthly active users. But the focus isn't on game sales, it's actually on the cases. According to the filing, Valve generated over $1 billion from key sales for Counter-Strike 2 in 2025 alone. The lawyers argue that Valve's loot boxes are a system designed to extract money through deceptive tactics. To prove that Valve is running an illegal gambling operation, the lawsuit relies on Washington's gambling statutes, RCW 9.46.0237. Under this law, gambling requires three elements. Number one is the consideration, staking something of value, which in this case is the key. Number two is the chance, like the randomized drop. And number three is the prize, just winning something, which in this case would be a skin. Valve has historically defended itself by claiming skins have no real-world value because Steam funds cannot be withdrawn to a bank account. However, the 2026 complaint attacks this head-on. Valve's virtual items have real monetary value, not by accident. It is a product of Valve's intentional design choices. To understand why this case is so dangerous, we have to look at Valve's history in the courtroom. For over a decade, Valve has been virtually untouchable. In 2016, a famous case called McLeod vs. Valve Corp tried to pin them for illegal gambling. Back then, the court sided with Valve. The judge ruled that because Valve's terms of service state that skins have no value and cannot be redeemed for cash, they did not meet the legal definition of a prize. Valve used the same shield in 2021 when parents sued over loot boxes in GG vs. Valve Corp. In that case, the court eventually granted summary judgment to Valve because the plaintiffs could not prove they were deceived. Valve has effectively used its own terms of service as a legal bulletproof vest for years. They tell the court, "We told them it was not money," and the courts have historically listened. The 2026 case is a bit different though. The lawyers cite the trade URL and Steam Web API as intentional backdoors. The filing argues that Valve provides the essential plumbing for the billion-dollar gambling economy while publicly pretending to oppose it, which goes into one of the most explosive sections of the new filing, which involves what the lawyers call selective enforcement. For years, Valve has claimed it is a victim of third-party sites that misuse its API. However, the lawsuit alleges that Valve's internal logs show they are actually protecting the biggest players in the skin gambling industry. The complaint alleges that Valve has knowingly and intentionally exempted specific marketplace bots from automated trade bans. They claim that when a bot belonging to a multi-billion-dollar skin marketplace is flagged, Valve support staff reportedly restores the account within hours to ensure the flow of skins is not interrupted. The lawyers argue this is the smoking gun. If Valve were truly against skin gambling, they would shut down the API entirely or enforce their bans equally. Without these sites, a dragon lore is just a picture on a screen, but with them, it's a way for you to cash out a large check. The plaintiffs argue that Valve takes its 15% cut on the platform, while these shadow partners handle the dirty work of cashing people out. But one of the most damning parts of the complaint is Section 4D, titled "Valve designed its loot boxes to mimic casino gambling." gambling. The lawyers specifically target the spinning wheel animation in Counter-Strike 2. They claim this animation is a purely cosmetic illusion used to trick the human brain. The filing reads, like a slot machine, the wheel spins rapidly at first and then gradually slows. It is designed to convey the illusion of a near miss. The wheel may come to a rest immediately next to the icon for a rare and valuable item, giving users the impression they almost won. The filing alleges that the outcome is actually determined the millisecond you click open. The entire 5-second animation is a psychological hook meant to trigger dopamine and encourage one more spin. The lawyers argue that this is a predatory practice targeting minors who do not have the impulse control to recognize these near-miss manipulations. So with this case setting up to be a large-scale class action, many people just hear class action lawsuit and think about a $5 check in the mail coming 5 years from now. But the demands in this specific filing are far more aggressive than you would imagine. The law firm behind the suit, Hagens Berman, is not just looking for a slap on the wrist. They are asking for 3 specific things that could change Steam forever. First, they are seeking treble damages. In legal terms, this means they want Valve to pay back 3 times the amount of money that users lost. When you consider that Valve made over $1 billion from Counter-Strike keys alone last year, the math becomes terrifying for Valve's legal team. Second, they are demanding full disgorgement of gains. This is a legal way of saying they want Valve to hand over every cent of profit they made from loot boxes that was unjustly received. The lawyers argue that because the system was illegal under Washington law from day one, Valve has no right to keep that money. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, they are seeking injunctive relief. This would be a court order forcing Valve to cease the operation of its alleged unlawful gambling operation. If a federal judge signs off on this, Valve might be legally prohibited from selling keys in the United States until they implement massive changes such as age verification. So with this all going on, it is important to clarify where we are in the timeline. As of today, March 9th, 2026, this is a proposed class action. It has just been filed, but it has not been certified yet. In the United States, a judge has to look at the case and decide if it meets the requirements to proceed as a class action. Valve will almost certainly file a motion to dismiss in the coming weeks. They will likely argue that the case should be thrown out before it even reaches the certification stage. They will point to their previous victories and their terms of service. So this legal battle is just starting. We are likely looking at multiple years of litigation before we even see a ruling or a settlement. Now, I know you might be remembering that on February 25th, 2026, the New York Attorney General also sued Valve. While they seem similar, they're actually 2 very different legal threats. The New York case is a state-level enforcement action. It focuses on consumer protection and the harm to New York citizens. If the New York Attorney General wins, they could fine Valve and force them to change their business model within that very state. But the Washington case is a federal class action lawsuit. This means if the plaintiffs win, anyone in the US who has lost money opening cases could technically be eligible for a slice of the settlement. But of course, the real people who benefit are the law firms behind it. For Valve, this is a direct financial threat to their multi-billion-dollar case revenue across the entire country. Valve is no stranger to these fights. In France, they introduced the X-ray scanner. This system allows players to see exactly what is inside a case before they buy the key. The lawsuit argues that Valve knows how to fix the problem, but chooses not to implement these transparency tools in the United States because the blind gambling model is more profitable. In Germany and other EU regions, regulations have been forcing Valve to change their system. This lawsuit seeks to bring that same level of scrutiny or just an outright ban to the United States. And the thing is, if the court rules that Counter-Strike cases are illegal gambling devices, the fallout would be historic for the gaming industry. First, we would see massive market volatility. The immediate reaction would likely be a panic sell on the Steam community market, with more regulations coming in the future. A major reason for this is because Valve might be forced to restrict their API in hopes of preventing cashing out. out, which would effectively kill the third-party economy, which this lawsuit hinges on. While this would satisfy the court, it would also destroy the value of millions of users' inventories overnight. However, it is more likely that Valve will fight this for years or reach a massive settlement. This settlement would likely involve implementing the X-ray system globally or just adding it to the United States while they move completely away from cases going forward. Valve's defense will likely hinge on the idea that Steam balance is not real money, a legal shield that they have used successfully in the past. But overall, what do you think? Should Valve be forced to implement X-ray scanners globally, or is the current system just part of the game? To stay updated on all these Valve lawsuits and any more that come in the future, don't forget to subscribe.